Hi, therapy and mental health. The topic of today's video and what I have on my mind to share with you about the growth process of our life. I started my first step in the therapy journey yesterday. So never before had I seen any sort of therapist or counselor, and I had my very first experience with that a little over 24 hours ago now. So I want to break that down because I've had time to think about it, to try to process it a little bit in my head, as well as with my husband, talk about it after my experience, and look forward down the road to where I see this going over my next few legs of the journey. I want to start to, before I really get into just my personal experience, by talking about just how proud I am of people in general that I've seen over the past couple of years that have really helped push mental health and that conversation around it out into the light, helped it step out from the shadows and into people's awareness on a societal level in general. And of course, living in the United States, I see a lot of content around mental health that comes from, my country specifically, but as well, this, seems to be a movement that is bigger than just us. And people all around the world are taking those courageous steps with something that is so personal and so vulnerable, yet putting it out to where other people are made aware who may or may not struggle with that. Those who don't struggle with that, but yet see that type of advocacy and that awareness being brought to the mental health subject in general. Hopefully those people are inspired or are educated and are, enlightened about that topic if they don't experience it themselves. And for people who do but have not yet begun their journey breaking that down or working towards getting help personally, maybe they are inspired. I really hope they are by these people who are willing to share and to educate others. I know I have personally been so encouraged and inspired by seeing other people be open about the topic of mental health and what they personally go through, as well as to help give resources and encouragement and permission to others to go ahead and start that for themselves, even if they haven't yet really given themselves permission to do so. So I am thrilled about that and the progress that we've seen as a whole. But we're not finished yet. It takes all of us to continue that conversation and that advocacy to keep it moving forward. So that's what I would like to do today, is to talk about my experience yesterday with my first therapy session, as well as how I prepared for that for the past couple of weeks leading into the actual appointment itself. I have always, for as long as I can remember, been a very much so verbal processor. I'm someone who benefits greatly from sitting down with someone that I love, know very well, and trust, and talking about what I deal with, whether that be scenarios that I encounter that are challenging, or feelings and emotions that linger and are difficult to sort through, or just thoughts that run through my head that seem to want to sit and stay, maybe when they shouldn't, and a healthier one should take its place. Being able to talk with someone about those things has always been very beneficial to me. I am so blessed to have my person for that be my husband, and I am forever and always grateful for that open communication that we share. It is so important for us to have somebody in our lives like that, to be able to share all the ins and outs of our thoughts and our experiences and our emotions with. With that being said, though, there is nothing wrong, too, with stepping outside of that and seeking strategies from somebody that is a studied and educated professional in the area that you're wanting some help in. Like I mentioned, my husband is that person for me who we share everything, work through things together, and try to break down and analyze, either why I reacted like this to a situation, or why is this thought sitting with me? How can I change this thought into something healthier and something more positive to continue and move on from that state? Anything that has to do with life, we discuss, and I'm so grateful for him. But there was also, a point that I came to where I wanted to find some strategies to add some, tools to my tool bag that I wasn't necessarily being able to get from just research online. And there's nothing wrong with stepping outside of that. That is not putting down your support system or degrading them or belittling them in any way by saying you're not enough. No, it's not that at all. And if you are dealing with someone who is discouraging you from therapy by using that emotional manipulation to stop you from seeking out other resources to add to what you're already receiving, just know that is not healthy, and please advocate for yourself. But my husband is incredibly supportive, and we both are interested in, seeing what strategies, what recommendations there are to help work through just things that we go through in life. And that's really a summary anyway of my thought process starting this. And so I decided to seek out how I might actually go about beginning that process. So for me personally, I had found out that our insurance plans do come with 5 free visits or visits without copays with a licensed counselor or therapist. Whenever we were talking about maybe beginning this process, I had thought to myself, wow, okay, well, 5 that are free, that gives me kind of like a trial period. I don't have to necessarily commit to anything, and I'm not putting any skin in the game on my end except for just being open and verbal with my experiences. And so I decided to give it a shot. I found that online therapy was the best for me personally, just because of my work schedule, our careers, and the availability that we had to be able to pursue and make and keep an appointment to be able to work with someone. So that was definitely the most accommodating and the best fit for me. Once I started on the platform, and I have just started with Talkspace, and I know there are many platforms too that things like BetterHelp and others that provide that online therapy and get you connected with someone who would best fit your needs. But Talkspace worked very similarly when I got everything worked out, had my code put in for my free sessions. I completed the assessments that were on there ready for me to kind of test and see what would best really suit my needs, what kind of therapist would be able to best walk me through my specific situations. And so after I did that, it was time to wait for my match. Got that within 24 hours. And then I was ready to schedule my introduction session. That's what I completed yesterday. And I'm going to walk backwards through the week and kind of give you my thought process on how I was doing leading up to that appointment and how I felt during and after, and the mindset that I walked away with. Backtrack a few days to earlier this week after I made the appointment. Again, it was very convenient. I was able to work it in around my schedule since it was almost, like a FaceTime through my phone on the app. And I was happy to have that done. I was encouraged, looking forward to it. Then a couple days went by and I began to think, is this something I really need to do? I mean, there are people that go through a lot worse stuff than I do, and people who have a lot harder time with navigating tricky emotions and mindsets and anxieties and issues that I have. People have it worse. And so I asked myself, do I really need to do it? Maybe I could cancel. I can handle this. We've been doing fine up until now, so what's the point? I started to kind of let those thoughts get into my head, into my mindset, but I decided to sit down and see for myself whether it was necessary. I got my notebook, so I highly recommend this method for anyone who is thinking about starting this process and is conflicted with those thoughts of, is this necessary? Do I really need it? Or letting pride kind of creep in too, to try to keep you from going through with it. So I got out my notebook, sat down, opened it to a blank page, took my pen, favorite pen by the way, so great, and sat down and thought, okay, let's write these things out. What kind of past am I coming from? So what have I dealt with previously? And how did that work into the main issues I'm dealing with now? Let's think about it. What would I say when I sat down with this therapist? What would I tell her are my main areas that I would like to discuss and analyze and get some strategies for? So as I did that, I realized bullet point by bullet point that, oh, maybe this is going to be a good thing after all. Maybe I should go through with it, because there was enough evidence there in front of me on the pages of my notebook to convince myself that yeah, this might be a worthwhile journey to start, to just give it a try, like I told myself before when I made the appointment. So that was extremely helpful to me. If you have to kind of, work with and bargain with yourself in that way, sit down, make a list, think about what those issues are, just be honest and pour yourself out onto those pages and see what comes up. After that, when I had my main points listed out that I wanted to talk about, I moved on to how I would kind of introduce myself and my wants to my therapist when I met her. So I began with just talking a little bit about me, describing kind of the way I think, and saying, first off, I'm new to therapy. And second of all, here's a little bit about me. I am very inquisitive. I'm an insightful person. I really enjoy analyzing and figuring things out. I am a super, intimate, like details person. I like to see every small part and how it works together to ultimately form that big picture. I let her know what type of communication style I have when working through problems. And I let her know, like I told you a few moments ago in this video, that I am a very verbal processor. So it is always greatly beneficial to me to sit down and talk things out. I also let her know that I was just wanting to explore some reasoning, some cause and effect scenarios, things from my past, see how things have built on and evolved towards the future and kind of where I am now, and look at some more recent adaptations of difficulties that I'm experiencing to get some strategies to help me navigate those in my day-to-day life. I'm hoping to, come to an understanding overall of how I function as a person and to be able to build up who I am to better face and deal with and navigate my day-to-day difficulties that I had made my list up earlier. And all of that was very helpful to her. I got great feedback, and I wasn't sure, and it's okay to not be sure. I told her I was new, so I just said, hey, is this helpful? I hope that it was. I was trying to be very upfront and clear and honest with you, and her answer was a resounding yes, this is very helpful. And it was much appreciated on both sides. And it really did help me to have that list beforehand, to know what I was going to say and how I wanted to say it to best make use of my time. So I highly, highly, highly recommend sitting down with your notebook of choice and writing those things out. I had walked away from that session feeling so much more refreshed than I thought I would. It was interesting to me because while I had, kind of that like giddy anticipation mixed with a little bit of nerves to begin, once I got through that initial, hello and introducing myself and that little bit of small talk and got to see who this person on the other end of my screen is as a person, personality, and how we're able to communicate easily, some of that tension kind of washed right off, and I was able to go through what I had planned to talk about for that session. And I walked away feeling so encouraged overall for what this journey can hold and what might come throughout the next couple weeks as I work towards the next session. I was given resources immediately, right away, to begin looking at and kind of working through too, that related to some of the key points that I brought up to that person, to that therapist. And overall, it was just very positive. I communicated that to my husband, and like I said, I've had a day now, about 24 hours to think about it and think about how I wanted to present that, to share the experience. So again, I'm a newbie to this, and I know that at any point when somebody starts this, it is a journey. Even if you've been going through this for 5 years, seeing somebody every, couple weeks, every month, for multiple years in a row, it is a journey still. And the whole point is to learn as we walk through. And again, I love to learn. I'm very excited to be able to talk about me, to break these things down, to walk it through with somebody who is licensed and knowledgeable and can just help provide some other alternatives to navigating life and to improving quality all around. So I really would encourage anyone sitting on the fence about this to give it a try. Don't let you talk you out of it like I tried to do with me. Sit down, make that list if you need to see the evidence, and then go for it. It hopefully will not, be anything that you would regret. I certainly did not. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it holds. And this is just the beginning. I would love to know what experiences that you may have had in the past, or some tips for first-time therapy patients, I don't know what other word to use, somebody going through therapy for the first time, let me know. And I am also more than glad to share any other details or information about how I got started, what platform that I'm using, and why, tips and tricks with the platform. I'm happy to help in any way possible. And also I would love to learn from you as we go too. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And I'm very excited for this journey. I'm continually telling myself and reminding myself that it is okay to grow. And I'm excited to see what this holds. Thanks for being here.